The whole world is figuring out that the developer and the data scientist now is a very big decision maker in where businesses go. And I would even suggest to you that the business strategy and the technology strategy are now one in all businesses. And that the technologist and the data scientist has a lot of influence and sometimes decision making on what the business strategy needs to be. So people often cite, how did Uber become Uber? How did Airbnb become Airbnb? It was because technology really led the path of what the business strategy was around. So I think as an agency, what we're starting to find out is the people who are bringing value to the brands on behalf of agencies are those individuals that have the core data science skills and the analytical skills and the development skills to use technologies in a very different way, either to create a value exchange with a customer, create a platform that brings a whole new business line into that business that they've never seen before, and or just provide insight and information to a brand about what their product is doing and how they're winning and how they're gaining market share. So it's an interesting inflection point for the entire ad business because brand advertising is very, very important, and I still wholeheartedly believe that there is a very, very strong place for brand and sort of the brand messaging. But there is a much stronger and tighter link into the data science underneath that to make sure not only do you get a brand halo, but you actually accentuate that brand halo through a data-driven strategy.
So Bob, if you were to tell a media holding company how to, transform itself, do they have to sort of work with a third party to implement this? Do they need to staff up? What's the roadmap for them?
Yeah, so look, I think anybody's competitive advantage right now is going to be all about the data and how you use the data and how you access information on that data. I would highly recommend for any agency or any business to have a very core data strategy and a data architecture. At IBM, we believe there are really three major architecture battles that any business has to win on. The first one is understanding what your cloud strategy is. And what I mean by the cloud strategy is, how do you architect your infrastructure? What is your cloud infrastructure? It could be private, it could be hosted, it could be public, but that's a very core component of it. And that means, is it secure? Is it going to protect you? Will it allow for AI capabilities on top of it? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, what is your clear data strategy? How are you going to manage data? Where does the data exist? Where does it reside? Where doesn't it reside? When you now have a lot of the cyber attacks that are happening around the world, your data is potentially, if you don't do that right, is vulnerable to attack. And that is your core data, that's your core asset for competitive advantage, whether you're at an agency or whether you're at a brand. And then the last one is, what is your artificial intelligence strategy? How do you mine that data in a competitive way? So those three architecture battles are, I would suggest to you, they're not really battles. They're architecture decisions that a CEO and a CTO need to make in order to make sure that the foundational business is in place. So I'd recommend, going back to an agency and saying, okay, what is my cloud strategy? What am I doing with data, and how am I using data on behalf of my clients, and how am I using it for myself? And then how do I use machine learning and artificial intelligence to make that data very unique in the marketplace?